Good morning. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And we have another treat for you, a great guest. And now, by way of Delray Beach, Florida, she's the only female candidate for the U.S. House District 23 seat. She's a workers and civil rights attorney. She's a former leader with the Anti-Defamation League and a former prosecutor. She's a granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. She's a wife, a mother of 4 awesome children, a daughter, and she does an amazing break the fast. She is Hava Holzhauer.
That is the best intro ever.
Good morning.
I love the enthusiasm on a Tuesday morning.
Yes. Well, I had my coffee, so we're good. Hava, thank you very much for joining. Why in the world would you want to get in the political climate?
It's such a question, David, because a lot of people ask me that question. It's a terrible time in the sense that we are so polarized, right? It is an ugly business. And by the way, the business of being a legislator or being in office is totally different from the business of running, which is its own business in and of itself.
Sure.
But for me, I am running because I look at the state of the state and I look at the state of this country. And that polarization is a big part of it. There's a lot of things that we need to do to move forward that aren't getting done around justice issues, around economic issues. And I've been doing the work in the field for over 20 years. And I'm not going to just leave it to our kids to get it done, right? We got to take some responsibility.
So, I mean, you know a lot of people in politics and have been working with them for many, many years. And didn't you ask them like advice or why, did they ask you like, why would you want to get into this?
They absolutely asked me that. They're like, it's a terrible time when you get in, you might not have any power. When you're new, you're considered like a freshman, just like a freshman in any environment. But to me, the job of a legislator, right? You have whittling it down. You have 2 offices and they're both funded by taxpayer money, right? So one of those is your home office in the district.
Sure.
And the idea is to serve your constituents. So you have a staff there. And when people need something, anything from something more light, like I want to travel out of the country in a week and I don't have a passport, can you help me expedite that, to very serious things like my son was on the kidney transplant list and fell off, and can you help me navigate that and get back on, to all sorts of things that happen for people on a day-to-day basis. So, that's serving. That is running an office that supports the needs of your constituents. Very important. And it should be done by people who care and want to do it wisely and to serve. And then the other piece of it is the DC piece. And that's the piece that makes the news all the time, right?
Sure.
Because that's where the controversy is, and that's where people don't get along, and that's where it's exciting, but it's also where the federal legislation is made. And, there's a lot of areas, voting rights, women's rights, civil liberties, and fundamental issues that need to be addressed at the federal level to improve what's going on in this country. And so that's what you're supposed to do in the job. And that's my plan, is to do it right and to serve.
Sure. Can we compromise? Can we get into a legislature where it's you're either with us or against us on both sides, on both parties? And and I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people they say, well, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, but they say, but I'm not like them, or I'm not like this, or I'm not like that. It's always like an excuse kind of thing. And I think we've gotten away, we've distanced ourselves from like the people, right? There are people hurting in our country regardless of what your beliefs may be. How are you going to go over the aisles and say, hey, we need to come to a compromise on this? Because there's certain beliefs, there's certain things that you could go to Republicans and say, if you're against this, there's no conversation. And the same thing with Democrats. So what are you going to do, or what may be your plan to actually go over the aisle and say, hey, we need to compromise on this?
So you're bringing up a really important point. Well, 2 of them I see in what you just said. First of all, we have to compromise. If we decide that we will not, and we put our foot down no matter what, and there's no crossover and there's no conversation and everybody is canceling each other and we're not sitting together in the dining room anymore, which by the way is the reality on the ground in this district and a lot of,
Sure.
communities where there are dining rooms that I stories that I hear from voters. We won't get anywhere and we'll continue to regress and we'll be continue to be a really divisive country and not do the good work that we need to do. And the other piece of it is while politicians might play games and grandstand, and again, that's what makes the news. That's the big news is when people don't get along or they can point a finger at one another. People are really hurting,
Sure.
and we're not addressing what needs to be done to help people improve their lives and to make this country all the great things that it can be, if we are instead um, just fighting among ourselves. So we will find common ground. We have to find common ground. I mean, one of the areas which I'm sure is really uh, involved in the work that you do through with the Realtors Association and in housing is, climate on infrastructure. That is a bipartisan issue. That is an issue that people care about on all sides of the aisle. And here in Florida, we have homes and we have businesses along the coastline, and these are very serious issues. So, there are places that we can find common ground, and I think it's really important to do that.
Yeah, July was the Florida Association of Realtors put out Clean the Beach month and clean our waters, and we had a lot of people go out and clean the trash off the beaches, and if you know Andy Thompson, doing Run the City with the city of Boca, and now he's running for a House seat as well. I think 91 or 93, I forget. But it's we all can do our part, right? And I think that gets lost sometimes because we go, about our day and we look in front of us and everything is good or we're fortunate or what have you. But we don't look around, we don't take a different way from work to home, and kind of see the sights that and a lot of times, we need that. We need a different perspective. And the interesting thing is I think, that's kind of where we're lost in, and and I'm totally getting a total off topic, serious topic, but you know, we used to seek different perspectives, right? Different opinions, different beliefs. Well, why do you think like this? Why do you have that different perspective? Where does that come from? And try and like you said, find common ground and be able to, walk in your shoes and you walk in my shoes and have some degree of empathy. That seems to be lost, as I said, and I think there's many pressures or the reasons why, but tell us, kind of how you're going to seek different perspectives, and then also, why are we going to vote for Hava Holzhauer for U.S. House District 23?
Big questions, big questions. I love how you brought up the beach cleaning, by the way, and that's part of the work that you do, and that's certainly something that people can do together and come together
Sure.
on. Um, and your description, by the way, of the divisiveness and the polarization, it's true. Like when we were, I'm dating us, but I think we're around a similar age. When we went to college and there were people who were different than you, it was like, I want to tell you about me. I want to share with you, who I am, and let's learn from each other. We didn't use those big words in college, but we were, we wanted to introduce each other to one another.
Sure.
Where today it's like, you're not like me, go the other way, get away from me. We're different. We can't communicate. And it's a really unhealthy wall, right? To communication. So you asked, how am I gonna part of it is this. It is listening and learning. And this process of running, for Congress to replace retiring Congressman Ted Deutsch, I talk to people all day long and I talk to voters in the district. And they share ideas and perspectives and they teach me things. Anybody, any politician who tells you they know everything and have nothing to learn, or who tells you they're going to deliver on A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way through the end of the alphabet, it's just not true. We can't all be experts in everything, and we don't have the bandwidth to lead on every issue. So, why people should vote for me? Number one, I have no strings attached coming from the outside. I don't have anybody, pulling me one way or another because I've not been in elected office unless you count high school. Unless treasurer, yes, in high school, and president in 8th grade. But, I've been on the ground in the field as a workers' rights and civil rights attorney, as a prosecutor in Palm Beach County. And, during my time in these roles, it was working on issues of discrimination in employment or, age, race, pregnancy. It was being involved in the rollout of the Family Medical Leave Act, which, as a woman who has 4 children and graduated from law school 5 months pregnant, it was incredibly important to have the opportunity to not lose one's job, because they were leaving to be home with a newborn, and that's something that's important to everybody, across the board and across the aisle. And then, as an assistant state attorney, some of the focus of my work, I fought hate crimes. I was involved in alternatives to delinquency because the bottom line is, like, this is a country, and you touched on this a little bit. This is a country of abundance. Like, America really is an incredible place with incredible opportunity, and it's still here. And we have incredible financial resources. We have amazing human beings and human capital, and people who can put their talents to getting work done. We're just not using it the right way because a lot of people would rather be right than smart. And my philosophy is
Yep.
the opposite. I would rather be smart than right, which allows room for compromise and allows for doing something that improves this country or improves the lives or elevates the lives of people in the district, than everything. So, people should vote for me because my background in the field. You also mentioned my time at ADL in 2013. I switched gears from the strict practice of law to, running the Anti-Defamation League, which it's a civil rights organization, but it has an expertise on anti-Semitism, but also applies to all kinds of isms. And so in that work, it's like I was still fighting for the same, um, justice issues for our community, but the toolbox expanded. So where it was the law before, it was now also, education and incident handling and crisis management and collaborating and working with all kinds of people. So, in building collaborations, right? So that is the kind of work that, we also need to be doing in government, is building partnerships, um, finding, common ground in areas that we can work together, and make improvements for our community.
Yeah, I mean, and you said, really community, right? So community to me is the most important, where we start from, within, and we start at the very, very, lowest level of, or local level, I should say, hyper local level, in the community, and, start helping each other. Um, I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk all the time, and he always says, when someone's hates on you or whatnot, show them love. And I always thought that how could someone call you a jerk or whatever, and and you're supposed to say, oh, that's okay, I love you anyway, kind of thing, right? But if we start doing that, I think it'll be a better place. And if we start from our community, certainly going forward, it's going to be you see significant strides. Listen, most of us that are not in the legislature, which obviously is all of us, or 99.9%. You look at it and you say, hey, why can't they just get along, or why can't you do this? And you know what, and they'll, you know the media or whatever might be, exaggerating some of the stuff. But let's talk about a little bit about some of the local issues from Florida and whatnot. And I think it's become a little bit of a national issue, but it certainly is a pressing issue in Florida. Property insurance. The property insurance rates are out of control. You have basically a government run property insurance, and citizens that one natural disaster, and we're going to have some even more serious problems than we do. Insurance rates have gone up 60%, year over year, in most of the areas. Um, is there anything that we can do for this insurance, industry? How do we increase maybe even competition on property insurance?
So it's a huge problem because if people can't be insured, they can't own homes, right? If people can't, across the board with the increases in prices, the increases in rental prices, the problem with the reinsurance in Florida specifically, and so many of our insurers falling out of possibility,
Mhm.
right? We have less choice, which means we're squeezing people out of the market. We're also squeezing diversity out of the market.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I think that makes South Florida so amazing is that we have so many people from different places. And a lot of people want to move to Florida that, you know, maybe can afford it and are taking over and squeezing people out of their current homes. So, we need to have programs at the federal level that fund some of the options that expand opportunity.
Yeah. I saw a stat. I was kind of staggering. I think it was they did an assessment of like the pandemic and the effects of what it had on like state revenue. And I saw California was like down 10 billion, and New York was down 11 or 12 billion. And the second um, best revenue was Texas, which had 6 billion. And obviously, who was number one? Florida. And it was like close to $22 billion, right? I mean, it just absolutely crazy, right? When you look at Florida. What do you think that we've, y- you see a lot of people coming here, and you see a lot of, as you alluded to, institutional investors and people buying up properties, to live here and increase the rents. What can we do as an area in Florida? And where do you see some of the challenges that Florida may have?
So, this is sort of broad picture, 30,000 feet, but part of it is the philosophy of what we care about, right? And in Florida, in general, what to me has come out of our government that is statewide is that we care about some people, but not every people. We make choices about who we want to promote in the state and who we want to make it an inviting place for. And because we're doing that, we're leaving a lot of people out. So there's great success for a lot of people. Our taxes are really low here. So people want to come, for businesses, that's a great thing. But it's interesting that you bring up that question because sort of turning it back, I know that, you know, realtors are human beings first, right? And they make up your association and that there is care and concern that we are able to allow people to have, their version of the American dream and to own homes in Florida and to live here. And for example, maybe after their children are grown and they want to downsize and move east, to somewhere smaller, that they still have the affordability to do that. Because, another one of the issues is that people that do want to do that can't move. And they're finding that they're just staying in their larger homes that are further inland because there's nowhere to go. And so then when there's new families that maybe want to, move into those properties, they're not available and they're not on the market. And then we have the issues of being behind tremendously, years behind in the quantity of new builds for, keeping up with the population growth.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and listen, Florida is paradise. I mean, we're looking out here. We do our podcast at Pod Populi in Boca in Royal Palm Place. And I mean, it's just gorgeous, lush landscaping. I mean, why wouldn't you want to live here? And unfortunately, I mean, it's, in a lot of affluent areas, there's only a select few that can, can live here. That doesn't mean that I think that we can't care about everyone, or we set up programs to help people. And that kind of segues into kind of a next topic, right? So the Florida Realtors Association, or Florida Association of Realtors, put together through compromise with the legislature, Hometown Heroes program. And the Hometown
Great
Heroes,
program.
it's, I mean, like really, really phenomenal. And not, people talk about it, but really the realtors and lenders, and I'm not sure that consumers understand the magnitude of what happened. We changed it, right? You're talking about legislature going one way and saying, "Hey, we're not going to do this," to making them have action. To give you a little bit of backstory, Florida Association of Realtors, there's an affordable housing trust fund that was constantly rated, for good programs. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, we're going on trips and, putting in travel expenses. It was for clean water, or for helping with property insurance. But that was not what it was designated for. That was not what it was earmarked for.
For
Um,
down payments?
so yeah, it was for down payment, like the SHIP programs or the sale programs and those kind of things. And that's, it was supposed to sit in the fund, and every year we'd have to fight and fight and fight for, 50 or 60%. And then they put a ballot on a ballot initiative, which was basically 50% of 50% permanent funding. And well, that doesn't work. It should be 100% funded. So the Florida Association of Realtors basically mobilized, and we put out a lot of petitions, and we got a ton of them done. And so much so that the legislature said, whoa, we don't want to do this. We're going to have a problem here. And that's where the Hometown Heroes program came out of. So we caused the legislature to, take action.
That's awesome.
And what the Hometown Heroes program is, a down payment assistance program. You do have to pay it back. It's an actual loan, but it's based on, a lot of the debt to income ratio, income, but it's also based on, who those hometown hero careers are, right?
But it's not continually funded. It
No,
needs
right
to
now,
be
right now it's
refunded.
100 million. It's 100 million. It's probably almost done. And hopefully we'll get continually funded every year. And I'm thinking that, when you look at, whether it's police or teachers or firefighters, a lot of times people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. So, those are some of the good programs. But let's talk a little bit about your campaign, and how you going to win this. Because one thing I know about Hava Holzhauer is that she's a winner, and she continues to win and be fortunate in life and career and such. And so I would never ever bet against you. And you're running a very targeted grassroots campaign. Tell us a little bit about
Absolutely. So Ted Deutsch was in this seat for 12 years. He announced his rewirement,
it.
leaving government, going into nonprofit, and that opened up a seat. So this is a seat that leans Democrat, which means, more likely whoever wins the Democratic primary is going to take this seat. Um, and there are 6 of us in the Democratic primary, which is on August 23rd. It is very soon. And early voting starts August 8th in Palm Beach County. So it is opening up very soon. 30% of the district is Palm Beach County, 70% is Broward County. I'm the only woman in the race. There are 5 guys. 2 of them are people who've been elected officials and are very established, which is not something that people are so excited about in general. They're looking for people like me that don't have strings attached and are independent thinkers and, are really open to serving. I think that people run for office for 2 reasons, either to be somebody. There is like an ego involved. What does this do for me? What's this title? Where's my power? How can I get more power? Or to do something. And a lot of people who run to do ultimately become the people who are there to be because they want to maintain and they get a little bit addicted to it. So I am a doer. It's the kind of work that I've done my entire career, serving people. And I've done the work on the ground and watched the legislator and coordinated with people in government for a very long time. But they're not getting it done in a lot of ways. So that's why I'm running. A lot of women are going to vote. And a lot of us are really upset about Roe and the concerns about women's healthcare and women's autonomy, and being able to make our own decisions and choose our own futures. And by the way, this is also something that is bipartisan. There's a lot of people, women who are Republicans also, that are really concerned about this issue. So, it is something that I will champion, and something that the voters are really responsive to in my candidacy. They're also really responsive to my sort of justice background of being involved in running the Anti-Defamation League statewide in Florida and fighting hate crimes and being involved in the balance of freedom and security. Another top issue is gun reform, and it's also bipartisan. When you poll about it, people know that enough is enough. It's really inhibiting on our freedom of movement to not know what's coming next. I have 4 children. I think you mentioned them earlier, and they're now between the ages of 17 and 23. And in that age bracket, in the United States of America, the number one reason that you die is by bullet. It's not by a healthcare issue. It's not by an automobile accident. Um, and that's unacceptable. It's horrible. Since the Parkland shooting, which is in the district that I'm running in, um, we've had almost 100 mass shootings in the state of Florida since 2018. So, that is another issue that really resonates with people. I'm a Moms Demand Action, gun sense candidate. I've also been endorsed by the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council. I've also been endorsed by Her Bold Move, which recognizes, women who are pro-choice candidates. And our strategy is to target the people who are really voting in this race and let them know who I am. And we've been doing that and feel very good about the campaign, and they're going to continue to do it all the way through August 23rd.
Well, that's great. How can we get involved if we so choose in your campaign and such?
Wonderful. Lots of ways.
Okay.
Contributions are always a great thing while I'm talking to you in this
Yes.
crowd. But also, we have people who are phone banking, and it's really easy to set you up. You want to go to our website, which is www.havaholzhauer.com, and we can put that up there so people can see it and see how it's spelled. But if you go to the website, or if you send an email to hello@Hava Holzhauer, um, then you can sign up for anything that you want to do. We also have people who are going to be at the polling stations handing out literature, wearing our T-shirts. We also have meet and greets and events going on all over town. So check out Mobilize for that, and check out our website, and you'll start seeing, where we're showing up. And our plan is to be out and about every day now through the 23rd, and we hope people will join us.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I mean, obviously, we're talking about, very serious topics, and, just so everyone knows that, I bring on both Democrat and Republican candidates to, express their feelings, express their beliefs, how they can change, what issues are important and priorities are them. And, it's not our opinions or we want to just bring you facts and questions as far as what the issues and priorities might be for each candidate. And I do know you from a little while ago, and I think that a lot of times we need people that aren't established. At one point, I think I said, just vote out all the incumbents, but unfortunately, they're staggered incumbents. So it really would take many almost centuries to get everyone out. But the legislature itself, I think, hopefully, is going in the right way. These campaigns, I'm sure, are grueling and tiring and all of that. And we hope that you're fortunate enough to win. And and if you like what you heard, and you want to learn more, reach out to Hava and such. But I always end and this is a much lighter, because this is probably my most serious podcast I've
Because
had.
I'm so serious. I'm so serious. I
No,
know.
because
I
the
know.
issues are serious, and the funny thing is, well, it's not so funny, but it does, those topics are like, become very polarized, right? It's like crazy, like, it's like we said, you're either with us or against it, like, and it's crazy. We just need to get over that and understand that for the overall greater good of whatever the issue may be, we need to understand different perspectives. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to find out different perspectives. Whether I believe what you believe or you believe what I believe, it doesn't matter, because I need to know where you're coming from so that I can understand it. And same thing. And too often we listened with the understanding to reply, rather than listen, or listened with the intent to reply rather than listening with the intent to understand. And we need to do more of the
You're sounding like my
understanding.
grandmother now.
I learned it from a sociologist a long time ago. But so I always end the interview on two questions. One is, what's your favorite all-time streaming series?
Ooh.
And what you're currently watching, if anything. Well, with your
Wow.
campaign, it's probably tough to watch anything.
Favorite all time. Wow. Yeah, no, I haven't watched TV in a very, very long time. I do have to
It could be
say.
a movie or a series, any kind of series or anything like that.
I
That you
just watched a movie called Our Friend
Mhm.
with Dakota Johnson,
Okay.
and it was an amazing movie. I use movies, I guess, like some people might like therapy. Like I watch so I can feel what's going on, with people who are experiencing something. And this movie just conveyed like friendship and support in a way, that I haven't seen, and actually that I have seen, and reminds me of some of the ways some of the support and the relationships have gone during this campaign, like where people are
Awesome.
really, really awesome and supportive. So again, I pick a serious movie, but
Right,
we'll have to find. I play basketball. That's fun, but not so much for the podcast. And then what was number two?
Oh, number two was what are you currently watching?
Yeah, so that was
Probably
the movie
the
that I
news.
watched. Yeah, no, I am. I'm watching the news. How did you know? I local news during the day.
Yeah,
And,
no,
CNN at night. Yeah.
It's funny because I think about 4 or 5 years ago, I just stopped watching the news. It's just I don't know. It's too depressing. And too serious, right? So, but thank you very much. Wish you very good luck in August 23rd. If you are in her district and you want to learn more and you want to talk about, you know, maybe even involving yourself with her campaign, please reach out to Hava Holzhauer. She is running for U.S. Congress House seat 23. Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We have another exciting guest next week, so we will see you then. Take care.